Trinab 8D, Harvey 9B, Arya 8A, Arjun Parekh 10th B, Yatharth Patel 10C, Jian 9D, Jayvarda Maheshwari 10D.
Good morning. Good evening, sir.
Hi, good evening. How are you, Piyusha?
Sir, I'm fine. Good. How about you?
Very good, thank you. Aditya as well. Aditya Gyanchandani, can you just mention your class as well? All right, great. So, I think it's just past 7. So let's start. I think we have most of the participants online. I think barring 2 or 3 maybe. So a very good evening to all the parents and all the students as well who are on the call. My name is Sauraj and I represent a company called Adventure Pulse. As some of you know, because we've been associated with the Cygnus School now for about 4 to 5 years. And I'm joined on the call with my colleague Lavina and also my colleague Ayush. They will be helping me with this call. So, the idea of the call is that right now we have exactly 1 month to go for our great upcoming adventure in first week of June. So what we wanted to do is that we wanted to just have a short interaction with all the parents, more importantly, all the students, and share some additional information with you. And of course, open it up for question and answers as well to all the students and the parents, because some of you may be embarking on such a trek or an adventure maybe for the first time. For some of you it may be the second or the third time. So it's important that we share some extra information with you and open it up for question and answers. So the format of the call is going to be that for the first 10 minutes or so, we will share a very detailed plan with you right from day 1 to day 5 as to what is going to happen. And then, of course, we will open it up for questions. So I'm going to request my colleague Ayush, to now take you through the details of the day by day itinerary, the accommodation, etc. And please feel free to ask questions, but only one request that uh, we just request you to keep your questions towards the end of the 10 minutes, so that we can answer the Q&A all together. So Ayush, over to you.
Thank you, Saraj. And am I audible, everyone?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So, like
Yes.
Saraj just said, I'll take about 10 to 12 minutes to take you all through this beautiful trek, which you're gonna, embark on in just over a month's time. And it has some lovely views, a beautiful trail, and the lake itself is also very holy and has a lot of history to it. So I'm just going to take you start to end on what your adventure is going to look like. And then after that, you can all one by one ask your questions. So, as you're aware, we're going to be going to visit Dodital, which is also the birthplace of Lord Ganesha. And it's a very beautiful 4-day trek located in Uttarakhand in the Garhwal Mountains. So, just a few quick facts about the lake, about how high up you're going to go, where you're going to start. So, all of you, as you know, will be landing in Dehradun, which is almost like a gateway to the Garhwal Mountains. And from Dehradun, we will take a bus journey, which is about close to 7.5 hours to our village, to our base village of Agoda. So Agoda is where you'll be spending your first night in a beautiful homestay overlooking the valley. And from there, on day 2 is where we'll begin our trek. The total duration of this adventure of yours is going to be about 6 days, out of which for 4 days all of you will be trekking. So days 2, 3, 4, and 5 is when you'll be trekking, and then day 1 and day 6 will be your travel days from Dehradun to Agoda, and then Agoda to Dehradun, and obviously back home. The relative distance of the total trek is about 27 to 28 kilometers. This is, of course, split over 4 days, so no need to worry. And it's a pretty easy to moderate trek, based on how the weather is. But it's a lovely trek, and I hope you all are going to enjoy and get some beautiful views at the end of it. So after we've found out some quick facts, here is what the altitude profile of the trek looks like. So all of you, us, Solid Sir, me, and all of you are coming from almost sea level, so 0 meters, close to roughly. And then we'll be flying into Dehradun, which is 650 meters. From there, on day one, we'll take a bus journey to Agoda, and we'll almost gain about 1500 meters, and we'll be at our homestay, which is at 2100 meters. From there, Dodital in total is about 1,000 meters of gain split over the 4 days. So from Agoda, we go to our campsite of Bhebra, from Bhebra to Manji, and then all the way to Dodital and back. So you'll be gaining from 2,150 meters to roughly 3,100 meters over those days of the trek. So just a quick brief on each day. Day one, as you all know, when you'll be arriving in the afternoon in Dehradun, we'll meet you at the airport. We'll, split you into teams who will be going in travelers and just give you some brief instructions on, what the journey will look like. En route, we'll stop for lunch, we'll stop for snacks, we'll stop for, breaks when you need to use the washroom. But we'll be going along the famous Tiri Dam, and you'll see the rivers and the dam water right along you. And as we get into the Garhwal Himalayas, we'll be visiting the town of Uttarkashi as well, which is, a very big town located next to the village of Agoda. So we'll reach Agoda, late in the evening. It could almost be night by the time we reach, about 7, 8 hours after you land. So around 8:39 is when we'll be aiming to reach Agoda. And post dinner, we'll tuck you in there at the homestay. And the next morning is when we'll begin the trek. Day two is, again, it's a very short day. We've purposely kept it slightly short in terms of trekking distance. As you can see, it's only about 2 to 3 kilometers and all of 2 hours. This is because, of course, you will have had a long travel day on day one. So the next day we won't start very early. We'll give you time to freshen up, time to, just get some rest. And after we've had a team briefing, split you into teams for the entirety of the trek, kind of gotten you accustomed to the region, what the rules are, what the camp rules are, how you're supposed to walk on trail, what to do, what not to do. That's when we'll start our trek. And we're passing right by the end of the village, and parallel to us is where the river is on the right side. And you'll be walking along this valley for the next 2.5 days until you reach Dodita. So it's a beautiful trail which slightly ascends and then descends to our campsite. So day two, or your first day of trekking, is a very, chill day, relatively relaxed day. And once we get to the campsite, we'll be doing a few activities where you learn how to pitch your tents as well. We have a couple of surprise activities planned for you for that day, which we won't reveal right now, but there's going to be a lot of fun on day two. Day three is one of the longer days of the trek, when we'll be going from our campsite of Bebra to the next campsite of Manji. Now, this trail is very beautiful. We will be ascending right from the village of Bebra itself into these dense forests. You might, if you're lucky, might also get to see some rhododendrons, but majorly the forests are of Deodar, pine, and oak. And right alongside you at all times will be the Asiganga River. The Asiganga River meets the Bhagirathi River, which in turn meets the main Ganga. So we'll be following a tributary of the Ganga and moving along the forest. And our campsite towards the end of the day, when we'll reach around lunchtime as well, that is located in the jungle. So you'll be deep within a forest, and you'll be camping nestled inside these trees. So it's a very beautiful morning also the next day. And even the night, if you're lucky, you might get to see some stars right through the tops of the jungle. The next day, day four of the entire adventure, is when we go to visit Dodital. Now, Dodital, as some of you already know, is the birthplace of Lord Ganesha. It is also famously filled with a fish called the trout. So if you're lucky, you might get to see them flapping around. But we will be going from our campsite of Manji on day four to Dodital. It's about 4 kilometers one way. And then out there, we'll be spending some time. We'll have lunch there. We'll explore around the lake. There is a pass ahead of this called the Darwa Pass. We won't go till there, but we'll show you the trail, explore the forests around. And then post lunch, we'll start coming down back to the campsite of Manji. So by early evening, by around 3:34 is when we'll aim to come back after having visited Dodital and the temple around it. Next day, day 5, this is one of the longer days of also one of the longer days of the trek, but it's an entire descent. So if you remember, I told you we'll be going from 2,100 meters to 3,100 meters. Most of that altitude we'll be losing today. So from the campsite of Manji, which is about 2,900 meters, we'll come back down to our homestay at Agoda. So it's a longer day. We'll have packed lunch along the way. We'll also stop at Bebra. There's a beautiful waterfall and the rivers run right next to Bebra. So we'll stop there for some time, get in some final views, and then we'll reach our homestay of Agoda where you'll spend the night again. Finally, day 6, it's an early morning start to catch your flight back from Dehradun. Again, it's a bus journey all the way from Agoda to Dehradun. And this is the final day of your adventure before you fly out back home. I'll quickly take you through some beautiful views on the trek, some mountains of the Gangotri range, views of the lake. On the right side is where we took a picture last time from the homestay. You can see this in the middle. At the bottom is the homestay where you'll be staying at. On the left and right are pictures of the campsite and the trail. Some more views from the last time we were at Dodital. It's a very beautiful trail. Like I told you, the campsite of Manji is right, between the forests. So the first rays of sun will come through the trees when, you're waking up in the morning to have breakfast. Some more beautiful views. The photos on the left are from the Bebra campsite. You'll get to spend some time there. If you all are well behaved, all of you, if you all, promise to not be naughty children, then we'll take you next to the river. We'll sit for some time. We'll have a short storytelling session there as well. And moving on, I think a lot of you will be curious as to what the accommodation or where you'll be staying. So, like I said, at at the village of Agoda, you'll be staying in a homestay, which is basically a traditional home which has been converted into a hotel of sorts. So you'll be experiencing traditional, culture, how the homes look like in the Garhwali villages. And from there, of course, on day 2, day 3, day 4 of the trek is when you'll be camping. So you can see on the left and the right the kind of tents you'll be staying at. I think a lot of you have camped before as well, so you know what that experience feels like. But for those 3 days, you'll be camping in tents at the campsites of Bebra and Manji. Of course, one of the most important things in a trek is, your fuel, your food, your beverages. So just a quick note on that for all the parents, so you not to be worried about any of the food. We have a very nutritious menu planned for the kids, morning through evening, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks in the middle as well. It'll be a very simple vegetarian menu. There'll be a spread for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There'll be multiple options, multiple subjis, different types of breakfast on each day as well. And we're going to keep it very simple. It'll be things like eggs, poha, porridge, oats, milk, tea, and coffee in the morning. So, the kids, there's no chance of an upset stomach. And similarly for lunch and dinner as well, it'll be simple, easy to digest sabjis, roti, rice, and curries, which we're used to having at home. Moving on, just a quick note on, the layering. A few of you have trekked before, like I said, so different types of clothing that you need when you're in the high mountains. It can get cold, the weather changes quite drastically at times. So you need to be prepared. Just a small note on that. So I'll just quickly take you through this. We'll also be, after this call and, leading up to the trek, we'll be sending you a detailed list of things to carry. So all of this will be in that, and we'll share this presentation as well on the group so that you can have access to it at any time. So just quickly running through what all you'll need during the trek. A base layer, which will keep you warm, some t-shirts, and then we, as I think some of you know, follow the system of layering when we're trekking. So all these layers, what they do is they basically regulate your temperature based on what the weather in the mountains is. So simple things like a fleece, which will keep you warm, a down jacket, which is, the most warm layer you'll have, and more importantly, a waterproof rain jacket, which you'll keep at all times with you in your small day pack when you're trekking. In case, it rains or snows, that's when you'll be wearing your rain jacket. And of course, trekking pants, a woolen cap for your mornings and evenings, and of course, a sun cap when you're walking. A buff or a balaclava, I think a lot of you may be seeing this term for the first time. It's a small piece of clothing, round tubular clothing that you wear around your neck. It kind of keeps you, warm and protected from the wind. So this is something which we would definitely recommend each of you have. And then, of course, a pair of gloves and two types of socks, one cotton to trek in and then woolen when it gets cold in the morning and evening when you're going to sleep. Some small accessories to add on to your main layers will be, of course, your trekking shoes, a pair of slippers or Crocs, whatever you prefer during the time you're at your campsites and it's just easy to walk around, air your feet. We will also recommend each of the kids carry two water bottles, at least 800 ml to a liter, so that they're never short of water. There are multiple water sources. We'll also be boiling the water at the campsite and purifying it. That's never going to be a problem. But just as a standard, we recommend two bottles. A small headlamp, just for the evenings and early mornings, or even a torch will do, just so that if the kids are coming or walking around at any time when it's dark, they have a light with them. A small day pack. All of you will be carrying a small, 15 to 20 or 25-liter day pack. This is what you'll be wearing when you're trekking between each campsite. And then, of course, your main rucksack or duffel. We'd also recommend the rucksack and duffel be something soft, no suitcases ideally, because it gets very hard to then, transport between campsites. So that'll be your main luggage. All your clothes, accessories will be in that. And just, your water bottle, your rain jacket, your cap, your beanie, your gloves, and you some light trail snacks is what you'll have in your day pack. So that won't weigh too much, but the main luggage will be transported between camps. Any personal medications the kids are using that can be kept. We'll of course be having standard first aid kits that we carry with all the medicines we need. But anything the kids particularly need for those 6 days can be sent with them. Of course, sunscreen and sunglasses. UV rays hit harder when we're in the higher mountains. So of course, we'd recommend along with your personal toiletries that each kid carry sunscreen and sunglasses, of course, to protect them from the UV rays. Trekking poles, of course, I think some of you have trekked in the past. Some kids have trekked, so they may or may not prefer using trekking poles. But if any parents are worried about, how their kid, if it's their first time, if they're not too confident on trail, one trekking pole should be sufficient. And that brings me to the end of our small presentation. Now is the time. Any of you have any questions? Saurabh sir, me, Lavina, all of us are here to answer this.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Yeah, so there is no suitcase they have to keep with, only that rucksacks and duffel bag and one backpack, right?
Ma'am, one small backpack which they'll carry and a slightly larger duffel or an airbag, anything which doesn't have like wheels and hard surfaces
Yeah.
because when it's transported on the mules, it gets hard to carry if it's a hard shell like a suitcase. A big
Okay,
bag which basically a small airbag which can have all their clothing, all the stuff they are carrying.
okay,
That can be sent.
okay, okay.
I see a question which talks about snow. Ma'am, there will most likely not be snow during this time. Some of those photos are from our treks in early March and April. Snow will not be most likely be there at any point during the trek.
And sir, they have to keep a sweat t-shirts and anything else like cotton. Cotton would be better or sweat t-shirt they have to keep.
Ma'am, so either work. If the kids are used to like playing sports in dry fit t-shirts, they can carry those also. But if they're more used to doing activities in cotton t-shirts, like any kind of sports, if they're used to playing in cotton t-shirts, that is also fine. Whatever the kid prefers and is comfortable in, that can be sent. For the night, it can of course be woolen track pants and cotton t-shirts, which are more comfortable to sleep in. But while walking, whatever the kid is comfortable in, they can be sent in that.
Okay.
Any more questions, guys? Feel free to ask them here or even put them in the chat. We'll be open to answering. No questions. Everyone is well aware of what the trek is going to entail. No mobile phones will be allowed for the kids. All the staff and the teachers will have mobile phones, but none of the kids are to carry mobile phones. No.
Should they keep some money or it's not
Um,
allowed?
No, ma'am, they can keep some money if they like. As such, right from the time they're picked up from Dehradun and all the way till they drop back, in terms of, food, in terms of anywhere they need to pay, all of that is included. So there won't be a need for them to spend money. But of course, we will stop a couple of times, for washroom breaks and all of that. And if they want to buy some, chocolate or something, you can keep some spare money with them. But we wouldn't recommend sending, a very big amount with them at all.
Hi
I
there.
Hi, hi.
Yeah. So about this pole, trekking pole that you have mentioned,
Mhm.
carriage of the pole in flight, will that be an issue?
It usually it's never an issue. You can put it in the main check-in baggage. So any of the
Okay.
big bags, you can put it in that. Most poles usually, are collapsible. So they either fold into each other or kind of become very small and then they can kind of be extended when they're being used. So they fit very
Yeah.
easily
Yeah.
in your
Got it.
check-in bag.
Because carrying it in a rucksack, I guess
नहीं,
shouldn't
वो
be.
it'll fit in your main bag. It shouldn't be a problem. I think cabinet might be a slight issue if you take it, but it can be put in the check-in baggage.
Okay.
Yes,
So
they
for
can carry some snacks and food. Any kind of personal favorites which they kind of like to snack on. Some trail snacks can be carried. We wouldn't recommend sending only sweet. If they like some savory snacks also, that can also be sent. Of course, they will have full nutritious meals throughout the trek, so that'll never be a problem. But of course, any favorite snacks which they like, something to munch on, say at the campsite if they're feeling like it, or even on trail when they're walking, so just something to munch on, you can definitely send it with them.
So a couple of examples for the snacks, theplas is a great idea, but not a lot of them. Some theplas definitely can be sent. Dry fruits, chocolates, energy bars. These are some good examples of snacks. But also for the parents, we will request that don't send like very big packets. For example, if you're sending some dry fruits or some snacks, try and pack it in like 2 to 3 different small packets so that the children can carry it in their day pack. While they're trekking, something small, maybe just 1 or 2 chocolates for a day, and some 1 or 2 small packets of dry fruits or some snacks. Because if it's like a very big heavy packet, then their day pack will um, become very heavy. So, just to give you an example, when I say day pack, it's something like a school bag or a size smaller than that they would be carrying, um, which they will be carrying with them through the day. So the bigger bag or the rucksack will go on the mules, which will have all the clothes and the extra shoes and the toilet kit and all that. So for a particular day when the children are trekking for, let's say, 3 to 5 hours, they will have a day pack with them, which will typically have their water bottle. So water bottle will be very important. It'll have some snacks. It'll have like an extra jacket in case of the weather change. So they are the 2 to 3 things that the children should be having in their day pack. Of course, we will be there on the ground with them to help them different bags we have to give. Yes, sir. Oh, ma'am, both are different bags. As I said, one will be a small day pack that the child will carry, the student will carry with him or her during the trek, and one will be a slightly bigger bag, which can either be a duffel or a bigger size rucksack, which will have the clothes and the other essential items for those 4 to 5 days. The bigger bag the student will not have to carry. As I said, that will go on the mules. So when the child leaves home, he or she will have 2 bags. one big bag for the mules, and one small bag that they will carry. Also,
That's
somebody
really
asked how
excellent.
strenuous will the trek be. So, as Ayush mentioned in the beginning, we are looking at covering about 27 kilometers over 4 days. So, if you calculate the distance, it's not a lot. On day one, honestly, we are walking only about 2 hours. So, that's a very easy day. On day two, we are covering about 6 to 7 kilometers. So, that's about 4 to 5 hours with a lot of breaks as well. Our day three is our main day where we go from a particular camp all the way to the lake and back. Now, that particular day is about 8 kilometers, wherein we walk up 4 kilometers and we walk down 4 kilometers. And then the last day, which is day four, it's a longer day. It's about 7 to 8 kilometers, but it's mostly all downhill. So this is a trek where the youngest participant that we've really taken is a 6-year-old boy, and all of our children, our students here are 11 or 12 plus. So it's not strenuous as a trek. But thank you for asking that question, because one of the important things that we wanted to share with you also was that now that we exactly have 1 month to go for the trek, it becomes extremely important that some form of preparation is done for this trek, because we also want that the students and the children should enjoy the trek and it should not become a punishment for them. So when I say some form of preparation needs to be done in the next 1 month in terms of physical exercises, there are 2 to 3 things that we recommend, and students, this is for you, because the hard work is you have to put in the hard work. Your parents can guide you, but you essentially have to either go for a jog, for example, or for a run, or go for a long brisk walk for at least 45 to 60 minutes in a day for at least 3 times a week. So these kind of activities we call as the cardiovascular or endurance activities. So it's not that if it's a holiday season, then of course you want to sleep in late and all that. But as I said, 3 times a week you have to push yourself and either go for a 20 to 30 minute jogging or running or walking, not normal walking but brisk walking. If possible, if you stay in an apartment building, then try and climb some staircases. For example, if you stay in a building which is 5 floors, then try and climb that building like 5 to 6 times. So in the process, you're climbing about 30 floors. Do some basic warm up exercises for 30 to 40 minutes in a day. So basically, what particular exercise you're doing is not important. What is important is that at least 3 times a week for about 45 to 60 minutes, you are indulging in some or the other form of cardiovascular exercise. So in the next 3 to 4 weeks, you'll end up doing about 10 to 12 sessions of this. And that is something that will prepare you for the trek. The trek is not strenuous, but it's high altitude and you need to be fit for that. In a day, if you're walking 8 to 9 kilometers, it's not easy, especially like climbing up. So your parents have done the hard work of enrolling you in the trek. Now it is definitely your responsibility to work hard and prepare for this trek physically and mentally. So I hope that's clear to all the students. And of course, if you have any questions about how to prepare more, or if any of you would like to understand that better, you can drop a message on the group, and either me or Lavina ma'am or Ayush sir can even speak to you or speak to the parent on the phone. But I would recommend that don't take it lightly. The more you prepare now, the more you will enjoy the trek. All right. So thank you for listening to us and giving us your time. I think we have like another last like 5 minutes to go. So if there are any questions, please go ahead and ask. Which basic
Anything
exercise? Yes, ma'am.
anything about electronics?
Can you say that again, ma'am? Anything about electronics? Like, are they allowed to carry?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I don't know, but I will defer that to the school policy. The thing is that there is no electricity here, so they will not be able to charge anything. Of course, they can carry a power bank, but if any of the teachers are on the call, then ma'am or sir, may I request you to kind of answer that question? But we don't really recommend sending any electronic items as such.
Ma'am, regarding carrying the devices, we'll just let you know in a day or two's time what would be the better option. Whether, as sir said, there will be no electricity, so there is no point unnecessary carrying. But still, within a day or two's time, we'll let you know whether they can carry the devices or not. I hope that is clear.
Someone asked a question about what kind of basic exercise they need to do. So just to make it clear, the very simple exercises. So either they go for a brisk walk, a simple easy walk will not do the job. So they kind of need to do a brisk walk. It can be a combination of brisk walk or some slow jogging. So anything that pushes the heart rate, helps build endurance, and after 30 to 45 minutes, the child is getting a little tired, little exhausted. That's the kind of activity they need to do. So if the child is able to run or do little jogging, then that's the best. If they're not into running or jogging, then I said, combination of brisk walking and slow jogging is the best. If you have access to staircases, then definitely climb staircases, climb as many floors as possible. So that also builds a lot of endurance. Otherwise, if you kind of look at some quick warm up exercises, for example, combination of burpees or combination of squats, combination of jumping jacks. So, if you're doing these kind of exercises, that's also good. If you have access to a treadmill in a gym, then and if you don't have access to a staircase but you have access to a treadmill, then you can also walk or jog on the treadmill as well. Basically the idea is that uh, three days in a week for about 45 to 60 minutes, some physical activity is done by the student. If the student is active in sports and is going for football practice or badminton practice or basketball or volleyball practice, then it's not a problem. Then you don't really need to do anything extra over and above that, because you're anyways kind of indulging in a sport 3 to 4 days a week. But in case if it's holiday season and you're not playing your sport actively, then you need to definitely do any of these basic exercises. What we'll also do is that we will put out a small message with some details of the kind of exercise that the students can do by tomorrow morning. We'll put it on the group, so you also have like a reference of what is the kind of schedule or what are the kind of exercises that the students can follow.
Just a quick reminder. Of course, if there are any more questions, the meeting may end in about 2 minutes. So we will restart the call at that in case there are any more questions, and you can rejoin with the same link. Please feel
All
free
right,
to ask. Yeah.
parents and students, if there are any more questions, please let us know. We are happy to restart the call. If not, then we can also formally end the call. But please remember that the group has been made for question and answers and interaction. So no question is a stupid question. So please go ahead and ask your questions. It'll be very, very important and it'll be beneficial to everyone else as well. All right, you're welcome, parents and students. Thank you for your time. I think we may not need to restart the call as such right now, but we will keep the interaction on the group. And please feel free to message us and also directly get on a call with us, and we'll be happy to support you in any way. Thank you, and we look forward to hosting you on the trek.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you, everyone.